invited guests and fellow colleague. It has been a very eventful program. It has actually assisted me in achieving this. What I set out to do was to actually develop an optimized system for decreasing soil moisture uncertainty. And my name is Felix Michael Obuche. The name of the system is called Agrotronic Systems. I'll be taking you through a little bit of introduction, the problem, the reason why I went into this, and what are the solutions, my business model, and then we'll talk about the conclusive part of it. Yes, what are the reasons why I went into this? I happen to see that there is a lot of discrepancies when it comes to soil moisture estimation. And why is that discrepancy? Because most of the equipment being designed, we actually designed by computer engineers, by electronic engineers, and most of the time they don't really take into cognizance the fact that there are other data that could actually affect the soil moisture. So the first thing I set out to do was to actually eliminate the inaccuracy in soil moisture data. Then secondly, to be able to reduce the rate at which the farmers use the manual soil moisture check. And for me to be able to achieve success, I decided to go back home, because definitely for you to have a company, for you to be successful, you can't just decide to capture the whole world. You need to start from somewhere. And I discovered 99% of Nigerian farmers do not use precision agriculture. That simply means they do not use soil moisture advanced tools. And these are the basic reasons why I went into this. And what are the solutions I proposed? I decided to make it more affordable. I decided to make the farmers to irrigate based on the crop needs, not just based on the moisture content of the soil. Then I also decided to be able to help the world in reducing the water wastages. And then I made my result real time. When I mean real time, it has a website that is designed for this. The soil data are uploaded via the cloud, and then you can also get the data on your phone. So these are the solutions I proposed. And then these are my novelties. How I was able to achieve this. The first part is the new development. This basically is the commercial soil moisture sensor that is available today. I depicted that with a green picture, because what we have today is actually doing a good job. Most of them are doing a good job, because what they do basically is to look at the gravitational, the volumetric content of the soil and ask the farmer to irrigate and not to irrigate, which is actually reducing those water wastages right now. But we can do more. That is why I came out with this. And how was I able to achieve that? I was able to achieve that to use, there's a particular term called the MAD, which is actually the allowable water that soil can handle. The sandy soil cannot handle much of water that the loamy soil could do, and the clay soil. And these things were not taken into consideration when designing the soil moisture sensors. So I implemented this in my own to be able to tell my sensor to work based on the soil type. And then I was able to use a pressure sensor. What does this pressure sensor do? The pressure sensor does one very important thing. What does that mean? It was able to detect the amount of force needed by the roots of the crop to tap water from the soil, because there is a conventional force. There are other parameters when it comes to that. So these are the novelty, and this made my instrument to stand out. And basically, going back home, Nigeria as a case study, as we all know today, 1% of the farmers use this instrument. That means I have a lot of room to achieve, not just Nigeria. Most of the developing economy of the world needs this. And yes, this is the website. This is how it looks. The farmers, at the first time, they can log in, create their own sections, and by so doing, and you know, as an agronomist, you don't just advise the farmer to take a decision based on the soil moisture need. There are other things involved, which is the temperature of the soil. All of these sensors were all integrated in my instrument. The temperature of the soil, which is very important, the humidity of the soil, and then of the atmosphere. So all of these I took into cognizance. Then the pH, all made into one instrument. And then, yeah, I looked at it. Is this beneficial? How can this bring in money to the farmer and to myself? So I decided to go to narrow it down to the maize production. Right now, farmers in Nigeria make as low as 10,000 to 20,000 in my country. And because I don't have a lot of time, I won't go through all of these. Now, with my instrument, there could be increase of 7 to 12 tons if they are able to do that. How? Because if you know the exact needs of the crop for the water content that the crop needs, you don't need to waste a lot of water. But that's what we do. We just irrigate and then assume that the crop is going to make use of it. And most of the time, this crop, if the water is excessive, it leads to stunt growth, and that also affects the yield. And if there's not enough water, it also affects the yield. So my instrument is bringing precision and an improvement of yields. I also did this to show you how the increase for revenue, 10,000 to 20,000 maize plants per hectare. Profit expected from 1 hectare is going to be $500 US, and then with the use of my instrument, it will increase to 70,000 maize cob. I did this calculation, I used all the parameters that are applicable, and at the end of the year, with my smart system, we're going to make 3 million. You can see from $500 US to 3 million US. That's a lot of income. And do I have competitors? Yes, I do. I have competitors. These are the competitors in my country because I decided to start from there, and then from there I'll be able to go. What are the attractions? What are those things that make my instrument unique, which I listed? It's an award-winning device. I've actually done a comparison of this with some commercial tools in the lab. Then I was able to do a viability test, and which it passed. And then it has a website, which will definitely assist the farmer, because the farmers also receive real-time data, not just on the website, but also they can get it on their phone as far as the SIM is integrated to it. My business model, yes, it is profitable because it's going to be real-time moisture content based on the crop needs. Remember, not just based on the water available in the soil, but based on the crop needs. Yes, it's affordable, it gives decisions, and then what do I offer? I offered optimized sensor, and then this is why I know I'm going to make it, because right now in Nigeria, none of these services are available. The services are very scanty, and I'm going to give it at a very cheap rate, which is 30,000 Nigeria money, which is $60. Increase the revenue, we talked about that. What is my plan? What is my go-to market? I plan to start with, there's a lot of good potential, 99% of farmers. Then I will want to penetrate by selling my product. Then I've done the share of voice. I decided to make contact to see if this instrument will be acceptable, and it is. I have about 43% of people saying yes to this. Market size, yes, I did a market share. Now, Nigeria, as you know, we are 200 million in population, and the farmers there are 28.8 million farmers. And I don't want to be too greedy. I decided to take 15% of that. And from that 15%, I decided to take further 15% because serviceable, obtainable market of 28 million people. I decided to also break it down for a start. And then at the end of it, I was able to arrive at this. This is the first year. This is how I intend to make the 3 million talked about earlier. And then financial model. Basically, for you to do a business, you need to know, are you going to break even? When will you break even? When are you going to make money? How much are you investing? So I was able to do all of that calculation. I did my service fee, which is still stand at $60 for the first 3 years. And there's increments in the revenue, that is in the numbers sold at point. Then I calculated the capacity, I calculated the expenditures, because I'll be needing to buy, because it also has a solar panel and the rest of it. And then I need to pay staff, I need to pay for accommodation, and at the end of it all, I had the revenue, the cost, then the profit. So this product of mine is actually valuable. Yes, does it have an environmental social impact? Yes, it do. One, because it's going to save water, that is a very great impact. Now, farmers, as we know right now, both of them use the borehole, which they drain, they deplete the aquifers. By using this instrument, you don't need to deplete too much because you know precisely what you need. And by doing that, you're going to reduce negative environmental externalities. This is one of the basic social impact. Then my future plan is to look into, there's another aspect I really want to look into, which would be the soil chemistry and instrument. You don't need to go to the lab to detect that. On the field, you can actually have sensors that could do this. The soil chemistry and the morphology. What do I mean by that? Like if you are able to know how to determine the size of the soil particle, the soil composition, the presence of organic matter, all of these cumulate into the bioorganic properties of the soil, which most of the computer engineers neglect, and it actually impacts on how the crop roots can actually absorb water from the soil. I intend to do that, and I intend to have my own company whereby I can help farmers, help the government to take decisions, and then improve yields in the world. Yes, I have a team which is growing already, and this is the team. Yes, thank you very much for listening to me. And with you, I know I can help the 28 million farmers in Nigeria to reduce manual labor, to increase yields, and to save water, which is very important. And when you save water in a particular country, it's going to spill to other countries of the world, and then that's how we can help the world. Then with you, we can also help 200 million Nigerians avoid hunger and live more productive life.
Thank you, Felix. Questions? Do you have questions?
So your team is here in Hungary or in Nigeria?
Yes, I have one other team person here, but the other person in the picture is in Nigeria. Yeah. He is a computer engineer, so basically we work hand in hand.
Can you tell me what kind of physical effect are you using to measure the sensor? What kind of effect is using to measure the moisture or the humidity?
Okay, like from what I experienced earlier, it's actually is measuring the soil moisture contents, because I have two instruments. The first instrument is the capacitance soil moisture sensors. Mm-hmm. So by so doing, it uses the electrolyte to be able to detect the movement, the electrolytic movement of water particles. But the one that does the major work is the soil potential, which is actually called the Matrix 520 sensors. That one actually measures the force, which is in kilopascal, needed by the crop roots to be able to absorb the water from the soil. Because the water can be available, which is being read by the capacitive sensor, but you need to know if this water available is actually absorbable by the crop roots, and at what rate it can absorb, which is the key thing there. Because basically I talk more of an optimized system to decrease soil moisture sensor. But what the instrument does is actually more than that. It does it actually does more in the sense that it's read the temperature of the soil. I have both the one that does the internal temperature of the soil, then the temperature of the atmosphere, the atmospheric temperature at that point. Then I also have the sensor attached to it that actually do read or measure the raindrop. The instrument is actually working. The last time I came, I brought it, but I decided not to do today. So these are the parameters I was able to use to achieve all of that.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Why don't the other 99% of Nigerian farmers use the smart system?
Yeah, thank you for the question. The question is actually very large. It's an interesting question. Why do the 99% of Nigerian farmers use precision agriculture? Yes, I have spoken to so many farmers, not just those in Nigeria, even here in Hungary, because we visited farms during the course of my study here, my master's studies. And one of the basic things that the farmer tells you is, why should I buy an instrument if I know how to water my plants at the right time? I don't know if you get the point. Most of these instruments tells the farmer that the soil moisture content of the moisture content of the soil is high or low. And many agronomists, many farmers know that already. You can detect that by just picking the soil sample and the rest. So they tell you, why should I waste money in buying that? But what they cannot do is the crop needs. So that's one of the reasons. Why should a farmer that is struggling to survive, that do not have a large hectare of land, to be able to make more profit from an instrument that he or she is going to buy, invest? So this is one of the reasons why Nigerian farmers do not, because the availability of land for farming to them is not there, and the income for them to be able to expand. But right now as we speak, we have large farmers that are already coming We have like the likes of the Mezube farm, but most of these are actually ex-presidents to tell you that they really know the truth, that agriculture is the key, is the future. But when they're in power, they don't do it. But when they come down, they invest on their own private firm. But there's a change. And if we are able to address one of their fear, which is how do I know the needs of the crop? And how do I irrigate based on the soil type? Then this is what they cannot do with their intellectual. They need an instrument to achieve that. So this is one of the reasons: income, turnover, and then the large size of farm available to them, and then availability of the technology. Thank you.
How much extra profit per hectare could be achieved with your system on average?
Yes, it's the farmer could actually make right now $500 dollars per hectare, but with using this, knowing precisely what to use at the right time, another parameter take care of, you're going to make $3 million, which is about 2.5 increase. Yes. Because remember, the basic problem with Nigerian farming is this right now. I will tell you a simple truth, and this is how I come about that calculation. In Nigeria, farmers do not plant off season, which is very bad. Farmers basically plant when it is raining season. And as soon as this planting season is complete and the produce come out, they sell it off. Tomatoes are very cheap, maize are very cheap when the produce comes out. But look for that same product in the next 1 month, 2 months, you're going to pay a lot of money. So if I'm able to help farmer to produce off season, you know what that means, because it's going to be more income. That's why I come about that price. Not like in Europe where you can see fresh tomatoes all through the year. They're like, wow. You can't see that in Nigeria. If you see that, you're going to pay through your nose to be able to buy it. But here is the price is stable all through the year. So, but back where we're coming from, there's a lot of money. And that's why I keep telling people, I don't want to be abroad forever. There's money back home. Yeah, there is. Thank you.
At the end of the presentation, you mentioned that you are going to have some tool how to measure organic part of the soil in the future. What's your vision into this time?
Yes, thank you very much for this question. I wasn't really thinking about it at initial, but when after I was able to achieve this, and I made a presentation, and one of the professors asked me, what is my future plan after this? Then I started thinking, what were those challenges? Like if you talk of the new addition I have, which is measuring the pressure that the force that the crop root will need to tap this water. I talked about the organic content of the soil. So we also need to have a sensor that could do it real time. Because most of these parameters, which I talked about, like the chemistry and the morphology, which is the particles and the composition of organic matter, are basically done right now off real time. So there are already development towards that, and I intend, if I have the opportunity, to also proceed with that, because I discovered that the world is moving ahead. So what you think you have today, there are other improvements will come, and if you are able to achieve that, that could further optimize the decreasing of the soil moisture. When you know the particles of the soil, when you know the composition, and when you know the organic, because all of these contribute to the force that the roots of the crop will need, because these are externals working against the absorption of water. So now I'm just measuring the force in kilopascal, so I can do more in achieving more, but this is not the end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If you still have questions, you can ask Felix during the networking session. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.